So yeah, things have been happening. You know, um, I don't know. I mean, a little
Yeah.
movie came out last week, that
Uh-huh.
some people saw. Not a lot of people saw it, but some people saw it.
Yeah, according to
Um,
the internet, not a lot of people have seen it. I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
exactly. According to the
Right.
internet, it's just awful and terrible, and no one saw this movie whatsoever. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Right.
Um,
Right.
oh, hi everybody. Hi. That was
Hello.
the cold open. Not as
Oh
not as
yes, we
exciting
love
as
a
the
cold open.
yeah, not as exciting as the cold open in the Mando and Grogu movie. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I
no,
love that
no,
cold open.
no.
Um, we're back, and tonight I am joined by one of my good friends. She is back. She is coming to
Yay.
us live from the most magical place on earth,
Still.
Orlando, Florida.
Orlando,
Um,
Florida. Yep.
yeah, it's Allie Andrews.
Yay!
Hello.
Finally.
Yay! Finally, we can hang out again.
um, right. Well, so see, I was on a college program
Yeah.
last year. And then this year I've been part-time, and how my part-time works is I'm guaranteed weekends and then weekdays I have to pick up. So I've been
Mhm.
scheduled like PM shifts for every stream you've done for the last 5 months or whatever, however long it's been. And they're very hard to give away when you have a closing. So you can thank my coworkers that were very gracious to take my shift tonight.
Yes.
Because I would be there if I wasn't able to give it away. So yeah.
I totally understand that. It is great to have
Yeah.
you back. Um, my wife and I actually did get to see you back in September when we were down
Mhm.
there. So that was really nice hanging out with you back then. Sorry
I know it
about
feels so
our
long ago. It feels
I
so long
know,
ago.
I know, I know. I mean, it was crazy because we got together with my wife's family yesterday for a little bit,
Mhm.
and we met. Hey, Zach, and Zach's my brother-in-law. We met up with some friends of my mother and father-in-law that we hadn't seen in a while, and they asked us about like when was the last time that we had gone to Disney, and all of us were like, yeah, back in September we all went, and yeah, and then like our nephew like perked up. He's like Disney, and I'm like, no, buddy, no, we're not going back.
Oh.
Yeah, but no, I'm
Yeah.
glad that you're still chugging along doing that. Um, Ride
Mhm.
operator now, which is awesome.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, that's fantastic. Um, so, what else have you been up to besides working? Just doing fun stuff?
Mainly work,
Yeah,
mainly because I need money. Now that
fair.
I don't have free transit with my college program, I've been living off
Oh,
of Uber, which everyone knows is very expensive.
yes.
Um, so yeah, most of my paycheck goes into Uber. So I do have to work a decent amount. And also now that I work at Magic Kingdom full time, basically, even though I'm part time, I
Yeah,
pick up as if I'm full time. It's exhausting. Magic
yeah.
Kingdom itself is exhausting, but
It is an
compared to all the
exhausting
other
park.
parks I've worked at, it's definitely the most draining. And also just like Space Mountain itself is just very loud,
It
very
is.
chaotic. It's fun. I love my job, but it's
Yeah.
very overstimulating.
No, I
So
get it.
honestly, like when I'm not at work, honestly, I'm just here trying to recover mainly. I mean, I still go out to the parks every once in a while, but obviously it's just not as financially feasible as it used to be.
Yeah,
Transit wise, I still get in for free, but getting to the parks
yeah,
obviously costs me money now.
yeah.
So it's more like a once a week occurrence, if even that. But I still try to
Mhm.
go a decent amount because like it's fun.
Yeah.
Where I really need to get to more is I renewed my Universal AP, and I've still only been back once since I renewed my annual pass. So like I need to be better about that. That's the thing I need to work on. Yeah.
Fair, fair. What was I just gonna say? Oh yeah, I. So speaking of transportation, the one night that I took you that we took you home,
Mhm.
um, I never told you this, but there was this drunk lady that tried to like pick me up in the elevator, like back at the hotel, like,
That's
and she
unfortunately not
tried.
surprising.
Yeah, she tried to, like, follow me off the elevator,
Oh my
and I was
god.
like, "No, stay
No,
here," and
people be wild at Disney.
her friends,
People be
like, pulled her
wild.
back on the elevator, and were
Oh
like,
my
"Oh my god,
god.
Stacey, you're embarrassing us. Oh my god."
Yeah, people are
Yeah,
wild at Disney, it's fun.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, Disney is
yeah.
it's a hopping place. It is a hopping place, but we love it. It's fun.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
it's where we can all be kids, which is part of the magic of it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's also a place where you see a grown man cry at Epcot fireworks
Yes. Yes, I did see that.
twice.
Yeah.
um, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, while we were there on that trip, we saw Starlight also. Like we wanted to see
Mhm.
that. That was an interesting parade.
It is
Yeah.
interesting, yes.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. I mean,
Mhm.
we saw it from Liberty Square, which I think was better because we were able to see Happily Ever After like at a really good angle too. So,
Right.
yeah. Um anyway, should we talk Star Wars?
Sure, let's talk Star Wars.
So, a little movie came out last weekend about some father and his son
Yeah,
set
I
in
know.
space. Um I think it was called, what was the name of that movie that came out last week with the father and the son?
Oh my god.
It's okay, it's fine. It's fine. The Simpsons. That's right, the Simpsons
Oh,
movie.
yeah, The Simpsons,
Yeah.
exactly,
No, I'm kidding.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
The Mandalorian Grogu hit us last weekend. Um,
Yeah.
Allie, before we dive into spoilers, what did
Mm.
you think of the movie, spoiler free?
It was a lot of fun. Honestly,
Yeah.
like, I took this very similarly to how the way you talked about it last week. It was just
Mhm.
fun to go and enjoy a movie. Mainly because I say that mainly because I have A-list, and I feel like a lot of the movies I've gone to recently have been very depressing. So it was honestly fun to just like,
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, some dark stuff still happens in this movie, but like ultimately it was a very fun movie. And so it was fun
Yeah.
to, and also just to see Star Wars on the big screen again was really nice.
Mhm.
And I honestly, I just loved the feeling of, I don't even know how to describe this. I guess what I'm trying to say is I think we're going to talk obviously in a second probably about like
Yeah.
fan expectations and
Mhm. We will.
how critical we are of content, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
I honestly, I feel mixed on this in a way. Part of
Okay.
me is, as a Mandalorian fan, is kind of sad that it did not focus on that stuff at all, but part of
Mhm.
me is also relieved in a way because I feel like I spent so much of season 3 stressed because of the way
Yeah.
they were handling certain things that I couldn't even, like, even if I wanted to enjoy that season, I couldn't because I felt so stressed the whole time. So
Yeah.
once I realized that this movie wasn't going to be as heavily, like, focused on that side of things in relation to the show, I
Yeah.
felt a lot of relief, and I
Yeah.
was just able to step back and just enjoy what they gave us, and I
Mhm.
honestly I needed that because
Yeah.
I didn't wanna, like, be stressed the whole time,
Yeah.
about because I saw how the way they handled certain things in season 3, and I think that was my big fear going into the
Mhm.
movie, because even though the trailers, like, didn't say at all that they were going to be, like, focusing on that side of things, it
Mhm.
was still a fear that they were going to bring it in, um, and I think while some people, like, may disagree with the fact that because they didn't focus on it, the stakes weren't high enough, I feel
Mhm.
like a lot of people are honestly neglecting the personal stakes in this movie.
Yes.
Um, because the personal stakes for the characters, while the fight itself wasn't as larger scale,
Yeah.
they were still very personal for these characters.
Mhm.
Um, and no matter what they're fighting, whether that be a giant snake monster or a freaking Moff Gideon, which
Yeah.
R.I.P. still, who knows what that's like, but like no matter who they're fighting, the stakes remain the same. And I
Yeah.
felt stakes in this movie, which I really appreciated. I don't know. That's all I feel like I can say without spoilers.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head because you and I were very critical of season
Oh
3 of The
yes.
Mandalorian.
Oh
We were
yes.
very
Very
critical of that.
critical. Yeah.
Um, and rightfully so because I'm in the same boat as you where season 3 is still enjoyable, but I think it's like the weakest season of the show, honestly. Um, but I will say this, like I feel that they rushed the taking of Mandalore in season 3. Like they could
Mhm.
have made that like multiple seasons of them like
Mhm.
trying to take back Mandalore. And I would have been okay with it because
Mhm.
like you want that ground conflict. Like you want that sacrifice because it just seemed like they got there and it was just like a one and done thing. Like after they found Moff Gideon, it was just like, oh, okay, well, he's behind this. Like we're just gonna stop him now. And then, oh, look, now Bo Katan's the ruler of Mandalore. And it's like, well, but like you didn't feel the stakes in that season like
Mhm.
you do in this movie with it being personal
Mhm.
stakes.
Right.
Um, I will agree with that because I do like the fact that the only acknowledgments of season 3 we got were pretty much Mando and Grogu, like, living on the farm on Navarro, and we got
Mhm.
the Anzellans. That was pretty much it for season 3 nods. Um, and Zeb, because I think Zeb was
And
in
yeah.
season 3, yeah. Um, but
Was he? Was he?
was Zeb in season 3 of
I
Mando?
don't I don't think he was.
No, he
I might be
cameos in no, he is in season 3. He's a
he
cameo in
is? Oh,
season 3, yeah.
oh cameo. Okay. I thought you meant
Yeah, yeah.
like
No, not
okay.
a prominent
No.
character. No, no,
No.
no,
No, no, no, no,
no.
no.
This is his
No.
most prominent role outside of Rebels.
Honestly,
Um,
I had to rewatch the finale or like parts of the finale today because like I didn't want to misspeak on the season at all because I was
yeah,
like I feel like a lot of my knowledge regarding like Book of Boba Fett and like the
yeah,
season just it all gets like clouded a little bit
it
just
does.
because of the way they rush things like you said. So I had to like remember I'm like what actually like I had to make sure I had like all my knowledge set in place like what did they actually show in that season. Uh because I feel like honestly, when it comes to expectations again, I feel like I fanfic a lot of it in my head, and I'm like, "Oh yeah,
I
that
think
happened."
we
And then
all
I'm like,
do.
"Wait, no, that's my fanfic opinion of what happened, not actually what happened." Um, no, but one thing, if it's okay,
Yeah,
there's a
go.
few areas of criticism, like fan criticism, I'm gonna want to
Yeah,
address tonight.
sure. Go
And
ahead.
when you talked about nods to season three, this is another reason I rewatched the end of season three recently. Um, a lot of people I gotta say this. I just gotta say this. Too many podcasts I've listened to today and just fan opinion I've seen online that have been really, really critical about how Din never really calls Grogu his son, and he only really refers to Grogu as like an apprentice, a Mandalorian apprentice. A lot of people are like, where did that come from? He's not an apprentice. Guys, see, speaking of references to season three, literally the entire ending portion of that finale is him becoming, they say the exact words, a Mandalorian apprentice.
Yeah.
Um, as a refresher to people who don't remember the scene, he basically, after they baptized Ragnar, or whatever his freaking name was, it's like Grogu comes up and he's like, my turn to be like baptized
Oh,
and become part of the
Ragnar
cult.
Vizsla?
Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. So because like
Yeah,
he
yeah,
gets like his little baptized moment, and then
yeah,
Grogu comes up to get his. Um, and then the armor is basically like he can't speak the creed, so like he's still a foundling. And then Din, this is where I'm like, guys, even if he doesn't call him his son, he acknowledges that fact. Din is
yeah.
basically like, I will adopt him as a Mandalorian apprentice, like so he can like still become like
Hmm.
part of our like
Yeah.
our creed. And that's what bothers me because I'm like, people are like, why does he call him that? literally the whole point of that scene is then she's like, "Okay, go off on your missions." As
Yeah.
just when you were young, he's now your Mandalorian apprentice.
Yeah.
And so it totally makes sense that he refers to him like that because the end of season 3, he's basically acknowledging the fact that
Mhm.
Grogu is his an apprentice, and even though if he doesn't explicitly say son, the big reason he adopts Grogu is not just because he cares about Grogu, because again, that was his way of letting him become his apprentice. And
Yeah.
then also one silly thing I want to mention, because I was
Sure.
rewatching that scene. I am glad that they kept the Mandalorian apprentice thing, but I'm so glad, unless I missed it, that they never called him Din Grogu in this movie.
No.
Because we
The
all know how
movie,
mad I was
they
about that.
yeah. In the movie, they do not call him Din Grogu, they just call him Grogu.
Which thank
Yeah.
God, because
Yeah.
we all know how pissed I was about that. I'm like,
Oh,
it
yeah.
should not be Din Grogu. It should not be. No.
Um, I will say this,
Anyway, yeah.
going back to the apprentice thing, when you were talking about that, because even Paz Vizsla refers to Ragnar as his apprentice
Mhm. Exactly.
at one point in season
Yeah.
3.
Mhm.
And like even like Din's like, but he's your son, and Paz is like, well, he's also my apprentice. Like,
Exactly. Thank
yeah,
you. Like,
yeah.
for real.
All
Um,
foundlings, regardless of who their parents are, if they're adopted or biological, at one point become an apprentice or
mhm.
any Mandalorian child. But yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah. Go for it. Keep going. Keep going. I'm liking this.
Okay, I'm gonna pull up my list. So also, we're probably gonna get into spoilers just in case. I
Yeah.
will say spoilers just because
Hmm.
I don't want to. I'll say this off the bat. There is one piece of criticism that I do agree with that I'm gonna be very
Okay.
clear on right now.
Yeah. Sure.
Um, and I wanna preface this by saying it's okay to have more male dominated content. I'm not saying that's per
Hmm.
se the negative. The negative for me, and a lot of other people have spoken about this, is there is a very big lack of female presence in this film. Um,
Yes.
and I will say, representation wise, that is hurtful and challenging still.
Hmm.
And again, that I'm not saying like every project has to be extremely female dominant. Like I know we just
Yeah.
got Acolyte, which had a lot of female leads in it. I
Hmm.
understand that. But that doesn't neglect the fact that I feel like every content should still strive to have more equal representation. It doesn't
Hmm.
even necessarily have to be like dominant on one side or the other. I'm not trying to like be like, oh my gosh, activism, activism, activism. But like,
No, I get it.
I and other women still want to see ourselves represented on screen and not
Hmm.
feel like we are being like neglected or pushed aside or whatever. And it's like, I'm sorry, females go to bars too. Like I saw a lot of podcasters bring that up. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, why was all men in the bar? Um,
I get it.
but anyway, so I'm not trying to make like a big fuss or whatever, but like it's
No.
still, I think it's an important thing to bring up because I've seen a lot of other people bring it up, especially um just because like so many people bringing up tells me that other people are feeling hurt by it, and
Mhm.
so I think it's an important conversation that we should share.
No, I
Just
agree.
because, yeah, there
Yeah.
was just such a lack of
Mhm.
females in this movie.
I think, honestly, you could have put Hera in the movie as well, like, at
Mhm,
a Delphi base. Like, you could have had, like, a scene with her and Ward, like, talking to each other at some point
mhm,
or something. Um, I I will say this, I feel that, I'm happy that while okay, I do wish for more female representation in the movie. Like, it
mhm.
would have been cool, like, if, like, maybe, like, the armorer had made a cameo, some stuff like that.
Right, right.
Um, but I'm also happy, like, and I may step on some toes here, but I'm happy, like,
Mhm.
Bo-Katan wasn't in the movie.
And that's totally valid. And I want to
Yeah,
like emphasize something. Um, a reason why I brought up, like the bar, for example, it's not even
yeah,
necessarily having like more named female characters. It's just also
yeah,
filling spaces with more female
absolutely.
representation. Like
Mhm.
even if there's just more background female presence, that will even make a difference.
You
So
had
yeah,
Deborah Chow there, like, you could have had Bryce Dallas Howard there too, like, an
right,
X-wing
right.
with
Like
them,
I don't
like,
know.
that would have been
Right,
amazing. Or
right.
even, like, you mean to tell me, like, Genevieve O'Reilly, like, couldn't have, like, been walking around a Delphi base, like, checking on, like, the New Republic military? Like, being like, "Oh, by the way, surprise inspection," something like that, like,
Right. Right, for
Yeah,
example, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I get I'm 100% with you on that. I feel like there
yeah,
was a lack of representation when it comes to female characters in the movie, like,
thank you. Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Um,
yeah. Go ahead.
okay, and then my third big one, which I'm gonna save the rest for if it just comes up naturally, but the
Sure.
only other one I really wanted to bring up, um, was a lot of people have been critical of Grogu's force use in the movie.
Mhm.
And I just when it comes to, like when we look at characters, like, in terms of their personal stakes, their backgrounds, et cetera, I think people are just being a little too critical
Yeah.
of the force use. Mainly the thing I wanna bring up, because I feel like a lot of people have been like, "Why didn't he just, like, force use on the detonators?" And then they're like and then they excuse it under the pretense of stakes. And I'm like, "I
Yeah.
don't think that was just to build tension and stakes.
Mhm.
I think that was a personal which I could be wrong, who knows, maybe it was just for stakes, but, like, from giving them a bit more credit, I could also see it as a personal character choice for Grogu.
Mhm.
Something I wanna, like, call back to is when we talked about Rebels, I talked a lot about how younger characters don't always handle or react to situations in the best way,
Mhm.
or they can shut down a lot too.
Mhm.
And I think it's important to remind people about Grogu's trauma, like what he
Oh,
went
yeah.
through in the past, with the Jedi, and then also just like his young people's exposure to danger.
Yeah.
Um, and this is a reason why he's an apprentice in the first place because he's still learning. He still needs to um, figure out things, and not even just figure out things, but like be able to like stand up for himself and take on responsibility. Which this movie, if you look at Grogu for this movie, that's what this movie is like about for him. So that's
Yeah.
why I refer to this as like a personal character choice, because then we
Yeah.
can look back to the beginning of the movie and how he didn't even think, to respond in that moment and do something to fix the situation. He just like
Yes.
focused like on Din handling the situation. Whereas I feel
Yeah.
like if that same situation had happened at the end of the movie, maybe he would have stepped up a bit more in that point in time and used the force or
Yeah.
whatever. Um,
I agree.
and then one more thing I want to say, which a lot of people
Sure.
have brought up in relation to defending the force use, is he doesn't pass out when he uses the force anymore. People give him some credit. Like he is
Yeah.
making progress when it comes to using the force.
Yeah.
Sure, he doesn't always use it at the opportune times, but like he's
Mhm.
made progress, and that's what you want to see from
Yeah.
your characters is progress. So yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. Just
No,
wanted to bring
no,
it up.
I 100% agree with that as well. Like, I think that's another great point. I just want to address, 2 comments in the chat real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
One was, do you both think Keanu Reeves would play a great Darth Revan?
Mm.
I don't wanna see Darth Revan at all. I really don't. I think I know I'm gonna
Yeah,
step on some toes here, but I
yeah.
Uh, there are a lot of people that think like Darth Revan is like this end all be all character, and while he or they, because I'm gonna say they, because you can make Darth Revan female or male in Knights of the Old Republic. I'm not a big Darth Revan fan, so I have no dog in that fight. Do you think the pink Twi'lek Devon will become Darth Talon? God, I hope not, because I think that that would be a terrible decision on that. I was very critical of Shadow Lord. I heard Abeloth, from Fate of the Jedi, might be coming to Ahsoka season 2, and Natalie Portman might be returning as Padme, and Abeloth will take Padme's form to deceive Anakin. I hope that's not the case either. I don't want to see that. I'm not trying to knock your stuff because you are new here and everything. It's just my opinion. I just don't want to see that. Like I want an original story with the Mortis gods and with Anakin and Balin Skull and all of that. Like that's what I want in Ahsoka season 2. Um in Twilight of the Apprentice, when Sith Temple exploded on Malachor and Vader walked away, if he ever looked back at Ahsoka one more time or one last time. He probably did, or he didn't.
Probably.
Uh, yeah, because Anakin was still buried there. Like Anakin was still buried there. So, I hope I didn't scare you away with the Darth Revan and Darth Talon thing. But I don't want it to happen. I
Well,
don't.
again, it's your personal opinion.
Yeah,
Like, obviously,
exactly.
like, I have my to speak from my perspective, I've had theories that he hasn't always agreed with, like, that he
Yeah,
hasn't always agreed.
exactly,
So,
exactly.
yeah, no,
But
exactly,
but I've
exactly.
respected
So,
those
yeah.
theories, and, like,
Exactly,
and you've
exactly.
pitched those theories to me, and I'm like, "Oh, that could work. While I may not like that theory, it could work."
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that's what we do here, like, we respect
Right.
each other, like,
Mhm,
um, so I'm not putting anybody down, I'm just saying, like, I don't want those things to happen, like, in Star Wars, like, but going to the Force use thing with Grogu,
mhm,
um, also, like, when you look at him being tired from using the Force, Obi-Wan had the same thing in the Kenobi series from using the
mhm,
Force, like, it
mhm.
physically drained him. I mean, it, like, killed Luke in at the end of Last Jedi, like, it literally kills Luke,
I mean, yeah, yeah.
like
No, but guys, that's what happens when you close yourself off to the Force for a long time. And
yeah,
again, as a reminder, because of Grogu's trauma, he did close himself off to the Force because of what he went through at the Jedi Temple. So
yes,
yeah. Yes.
yes, I 100% agree. I mean, I am also glad that, um, they didn't really acknowledge Order 66 in
Mhm.
the movie as well. Like Grogu, like you can tell like Grogu's starting to like move past it. He's like, I'm a Mandalorian now. This is my life. Like this
Mhm.
is what it's about. Um before we get into like a lot of the meat of the movie, I want to ask you about one thing. So they split like in the movie they split Din and Grogu up, which I actually liked. I actually liked
Mhm.
the fact that they split them up. Um,
Mhm.
were you scared of the use of the Anzellans? Like, did you think like it was gonna be like a little too much, like that they were gonna lean into like the two
Mhm.
the two cuteness? His name's Pickle. Uh,
I
yeah,
Yes.
sorry.
Um, no, you're good. Um, Honestly, not really, just
Okay.
because I feel like at that point, we had a lot of gritty stuff in the movie already,
Yeah.
and it felt, because again, a reminder, Star Wars is largely geared to kids,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Exactly.
and this is a major film release that they're probably
Yeah.
expecting kids are gonna go to because it has Grogu and whatever, um, and but also for me personally, even though I'm 25, I again because 'cause we'd had a lot of gritty stuff in the movie, and I think I just the levity I appreciated. I liked
Yes.
having the levity. It made when it did get grittier, because like, it did even get more grittier, um,
Oh yeah.
and the stakes did get higher, so I liked having that moment of levity, and I think that was smart on them before they had a
Yes.
very somber, high stakes, uncertain, like, situation,
Yeah.
to have that feeling of levity for the audience, and, I was laughing. Oh my god, I thought it was
Oh
so
yeah. Me
funny,
too.
like, when you think they're in a big ship and then they're all just crammed in a little ship to get like, the audience was dying laughing, like, that was great, like, I
I
just
also loved,
I
Big Pipe, huh? Like like Big
Yes,
Pipe.
yes, yes, yes. No, that whole sequence, I think it was much needed from, like, if we look at it from, like, a film perspective, I think it was
Yeah,
much needed levity, and
yeah,
I that was one reason I've defended The Last Jedi in the past is a lot of people are like, "Oh my god, that one sequence is so goofy," and I'm like, I liked that they had that goofy sequence before the very angsty, like,
yeah,
final sequence because it really gave you a little chance to breathe before it was just heavy
mhm,
beat after beat after beat of just
yeah,
heavy downtroddenness.
yeah,
So I felt the same way about it in this film where I really
mhm,
enjoyed that they still had levity, they still had like the chance to laugh and that feeling of and
mhm,
those cute moments because like ultimately again kids are gonna come for those cute moments. Not all
yeah,
kids are smart and they're gonna love the action and the gritty too,
oh,
sure. But
yeah,
a lot of especially younger kids are more geared to, the cute
Mhm.
Grogu moments. And I think the fact that they chose to also have other characters, which to be fair, they are in Mandalorian already, so I like that they use that connection. And then,
Yeah,
but also just other characters to bounce off for the comedy, especially because Grogu does not yet vocally speak. So even
yes.
though the Anzellans don't really say a lot, they still provide more vocal comedy than
Mhm.
Grogu is at the moment. So yeah, before having that completely silent, very somber, very high stakes sequence, I think it was very smart of them to have that sequence of levity and comedy. I think it was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I thought the use of the Anzellans was actually really well done. I was worried about it. I was a little
Mm.
worried about it because I was sitting there and I was thinking, "Oh god, here we go." Like this could go either one of two ways, like really good or really bad. And
Yeah.
like Favreau and Filoni like really handled that decision well. Like they really
Mhm.
did handle that decision well. I also love there's another great moment of levity in the movie where and spoilers, we're talking spoilers.
I think I missed that. What's that? Yeah.
um
Yeah.
where
Mhm.
Din is injured and he's like Grogu's trying to take care of him and he uses the force to like push him like into the shelter and like he keeps like banging his helmet like on like the back of the shelter. Like
Mhm.
that to me is like a great moment of levity. I will
Mhm.
also say that they do an amazing job of honoring Yoda in the movie as well with Grogu. Like when he
Mhm.
has the walking stick, like,
Mhm.
I love when he has the
Mhm.
walking stick, and then, like, when he's, like, waving it at the bugs, like,
Yeah.
in that one scene, it was great.
Mhm.
Like, Grogu's, like, journey in the movie, I was really surprised with. Like, I was really, really surprised, and, um he reminded me of Rocky in Project Hail Mary a
Mhm.
little bit, like, you know what I mean? Just, like, with his journey, um, but Grogu had some great moments of levity, but he also has some really amazing moments of heart, and I'm so glad they haven't made this kid talk. Like, I
Yeah.
am so glad that they haven't had this kid talk because I feel like his impact is greater because he doesn't talk.
Mhm.
Because, like, he could have had dialogue with Din, like, at
Right.
any point in the movie, and I was sitting there and I was just thinking, "Wow, they really kept him silent outside of, like, his normal noises."
Right. Right.
Um, like, when he's, like, shaking him to wake him up, like, I love that bit so, so much. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I thought the handling of Grogu was incredible in the movie. Um
Mhm.
I love the fact that they split them up too, because that's one thing that you and I have talked about where we're like, they need to split them up more often because
Right.
it's more
Right.
fun.
Yeah.
Um, also, I'm kind of all over the place here.
Mm.
Um, but can we talk about how brutal those fights are in the movie? Like,
Oh,
those
yeah. Well,
fights
that's
are
what I meant when I said,
brutal.
like, grittiness. Yes,
Yes.
yes, exactly.
Like, he
Yeah.
literally lights dudes on fire. Like,
Right,
multiple times in the movie,
right.
like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Um,
Mhm.
what are some other things that you enjoyed? Like, keep going. I'm loving this.
Keep going.
Keep going.
Um, Let me pull out my
Like,
notes.
yeah, just keep going through your notes.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Before I get to this is I wanna bring up another aspect that I hadn't that I felt works, but also didn't work for me, if that's okay.
Sure.
Um, I okay. I love I made very clear. I love what they did with this movie. I
Yeah.
see what they did, as I just talked about with Grogu. I even saw Grogu's own personal growth throughout this movie.
Yes.
That does
Absolutely.
not take away from the fact that I honestly did personally feel the episodic nature of this movie.
Yes.
Like, sitting in the movie, I could feel that this could have still been the TV show, if that makes sense. Like,
Hmm.
it wasn't lost on me, like, where I felt that structure. even though they kept obviously a very clear, like I said, a very clear story structure for what they want to accomplish
Yeah.
with the characters, I could also still notice how they could have made this a season, and it felt like I was just watching a season of The Mandalorian all on the big screen.
Yeah, it
And so
feels like 4
yeah,
episodes. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was one thing I will say took me out of it a little bit personally.
Mhm.
Um, but again, to get spin back to the positive side of things, I did still
Sure.
very much enjoy what they did with this movie. I'm not saying that like makes this movie unwatchable, but I will say it did. My experience with the movie could have felt a little stronger if I hadn't felt as much of that like structure
Yeah. It it
throughout the
it
movie.
it is a little jarring going into it knowing that this is a movie based on a TV show.
Mhm.
It is a little jarring there because, like, you can clearly see, like, when the episodes would be cut too, like,
Right,
at certain
exactly,
parts of the
exactly.
movie. Yeah, yeah,
Right. Which is why, in a way, I kind of like I think about it. Not to say like obviously what's done is done. I can't go back and change it, but I feel like if
mhm,
anything, like the retake of Mandalore could have benefited more from the movie structure, whereas this could have been
absolutely.
fine as a show structure. Um,
Yeah.
and I, to this day, I'm always going to regret the fact that they chose to handle again, with not to beat a dead horse, but
No,
that they
no, you're
chose to
fine.
handle that Mandalorian stuff the way they did.
Yeah,
Um, and but obviously, again, what's done is done, and because they handled the way they did in 3, that's why they chose this story for the movie. But I still stand by the fact that maybe that story could have felt less rigid as a movie
yeah,
than this did. Um, but
yeah,
again, I still very much enjoy the movie. This is just me personally
yeah.
nitpicking because like every person's gonna
No, it's
nitpick
fine.
something, and that was
Yeah,
honestly the one nitpick I had. Is there were points in the movie where not because I hated it, but I just like checked my watch out of curiosity. You know what I meant? Because
yeah.
I felt that episodic structure. So when I felt like it
Mhm,
was like reaching an episode kind of end, I would like look at my watch just out of curiosity, to
mhm.
see how much time had passed. Um, so yeah, it's that's the last like critical thing I think I'll say though. Let's see something else I liked. Um, I like that they do you want to like get more into the meat of it?
Yeah, go for it.
Like the meat of
I'm
it.
I'm
Okay. The whole
yeah, I'm just gonna
let's
pick
talk
up
about
on your
Rada. Let's
stuff.
talk about
Yeah,
Rada, dude. Let's talk about Rada. That
standout
whole
of the movie.
what they did with Rada was amazing. Like you
Yeah,
said, stand out of the movie. That entire like everything they
mhm,
did. The only nitpicky thing I'll say on it is I feel like he said a little bit too much that he didn't want to be as like his father. I'm like, I get it, bro. You've said it like 6 times.
yeah.
But other than that, no,
Yeah,
everything they did with him was
so
phenomenal. Like,
there's a nitpicky
what,
thing my wife and I had. Sorry. There's a
okay, no,
nitpicky thing that my wife
yeah.
and I had with Rada where we
Mhm.
were really hoping, like, he could have, like, just mentioned the events of the Clone Wars movie and, like, being rescued by
Mm.
Jedi, just, like, by being rescued by Jedi, like, not necessarily, like, name drop Ahsoka or Anakin, but just being like, "Hey, this
Right.
because I saw this heroism, this set me on this path."
Mhm. Yeah,
Where he was like, "I don't wanna
yeah.
be like my father because I saw these heroic people that were willing to lay down their lives for me."
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think I personally it's not even just, like, his own personal journey with that, but it's also the way he interacted with Grogu in terms of that. Because
yeah,
anytime I saw them being, like, cute with each other and interacting, it just, like, hurt me because 'cause I'm like, "That's probably the way he wanted to be treated at that age." You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
he's trying to help
mhm,
give back to this kid what he wanted when he was Grogu's age.
yeah,
Um, and then when you bring up like the Clone Wars movie again, like that's it's not even just their heroism, but their compassion. Like even
yeah,
though he was a hut, they still took care of that baby. Like when he got
yeah,
sick, they didn't just say, "Well, screw you, you're a freaking hut." Like be
yeah.
sick.
No,
I mean, I know
they
obviously they didn't want him to die because they had to return him alive, but I still felt like there was a part, especially when you see Ahsoka nursing him in that one scene, there was a part of them that's still, at least from Ahsoka's side. I know Anakin was more of a prejudice, obviously, for good for totally valid reasons with the slavery
oh,
thing. But
absolutely, yeah,
at least from Ahsoka's perspective, she approached that with a great level of care that I feel
yeah,
like he probably never got from his family. I mean, we see in this movie
mhm,
how his remaining family treats him. Um,
mhm,
so the fact that he's able to give that back to Grogu in any dose, and then the wisdom he's trying to pass on to Din with that, because like he's trying to do what he can to make sure that this kid never has to go through what he went through. And I just, I love that so much.
Yeah.
Emotional.
I
Yep.
I think absolutely, Rada the Hutt is one of the standouts of the movie. Like, absolutely, just I love his story. I love his character development. He's done so well, and Jeremy Allen White is fantastic as Rada the Hutt. Like, he is fantastic, like in the
Mhm.
performance. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's great. And it's great. And I I really liked that, again, like kind of like a moral compass kind of character too.
Hmm.
Because I feel like Dan is, and this is like, I know I said I'm gonna stop bringing up critical things. This isn't even necessarily critical though, because like this is when I talked about, like the stuff I went a lot of times with Mandalorian, I would say like I wish we saw more of this, you know what I mean? Not
Hmm.
necessarily like it's a take back, but
Hmm.
I wish, I hope in the future with Din they dig even more into his like moral compass and
Yes.
where he stands on certain things,
Yeah.
especially with violence, because there was sending very mixed messages with Din about violence, and I think
Yeah.
they really need to like come to like figure out what his stance actually is on it. Um, but that's something I would have loved to see more in the future, and wish we could have gone a bit more in this movie, is about his moral compass, because like I feel like Rada could was a kind of like a stand-in for that like moral compass, where you
Mhm.
had a character who was able to more rationally see through things, and not want to be as reactive in terms of like, because
Yeah.
that's what I struggle with Din, is like Din's like, I hate violence, but then he's also, like you said, he's burning people alive every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
um
He
um
does
so
burn a
so
lot of
so
people.
so exactly. And what I love is that the brig prison, I was gonna say jail, but it's a brig in Star Wars, that brig scene, where they're going back and forth, and it's like that is what I kind of like wanted to dig more into with Din, is because like
Yeah.
Din is such a complicated character in so many ways, and I love how they've fleshed out more and more of his complexity
Mhm.
as time has gone on, because before he seemed very static. He's like, I follow the creed and that's it. But the longer we've gone on in the show, obviously the more complexity we've seen from him. And I really liked in that scene how it's like it really questions like where is Din standing, because it puts into perspective. I'm like, is it the job? Is it his morals? Is it the fact that he's just getting paid? Because like there's so many points, and this is why I struggled again with the continuity of his morals, because like you as an audience are left a lot up into interpretation in those scenes, and as to why he's doing the things he is. Like, is it just because of the job, or does he genuinely actually care? But what I really
Yeah.
liked is by the end it felt like he did actually care. I feel like in those final interactions, you could tell like it.
Mm.
While it more so might have been the job at first, like he did come to form more of a personal stakes for wanting Rada to live, and I like that.
Mhm.
And I think that's something again that I hope we continue to see with Din, because I think that's one of the most complex parts about Din as a character, and why I honestly want to look more into the history of Mandalorians as like bounty hunters. And I was thinking about this a lot today. I'm like, I really want to like dig into that more, not right now,
Mhm.
but in the future, because
Yeah.
I think that's like such a complex area for Mandalorians in terms of their moral compass when it comes to, I have a job I need to do versus my own moral compass and my own um like my own
Mhm.
creed and my own morals. And I think that's such an interesting like stance on it. But I just, to go back to why I appreciated Din and Rada, is I appreciated that as how Rada as a character, we were able to navigate through Din's morals a bit more, and to
Mhm.
see that there is a human under that helmet, and it's not just about the job. And I really hope they keep that up in the future, because I was so worried in that brig scene again that it was just Din being like, oh, I have a job to do, pew pew.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
exactly.
which maybe it was that at that point in time, but kind of like how Grogu developed, they developed Din in this movie. I hope they don't, because I this is why I hope they continue in the future, because I feel like there have been a lot of times Din has de-progressed as a character.
Yeah, I agree.
So I hope that this movie doesn't stand alone, and that it does reflect in the future content, where we do
Mm.
see more of that man behind the helmet, and he doesn't just revert to back to I have a job to do for the New Republic. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Anyway, I'll stop my little rant, but yeah.
No, 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 you're fine, you're fine.
Yeah. Mhm,
I once again, I agree with that because I think that Rada is a good way for Din to reflect on himself and reflect on his morals and reflect
mhm,
on his decisions. Um,
mhm, exactly.
and yeah, and he's also it's interesting because like we see the violence thing and we
Mhm,
as people that consume a lot of media have noticed this when it comes to like a lot of these pieces of media involving a parental type figure and a child figure where violence does come into play. um
mhm,
we're talking about the Mandalorian and Grogu, like the Last of Us, the relationship between Joel and Ellie.
mhm,
They're trying to protect each other, but they're also like willing to go that extra mile to protect that person, like Din Djarin is.
mhm,
You
mhm,
see it in a lot of other video games, like when, or like even like a sibling type thing, where in the Uncharted series, in Uncharted 4, Nathan and Sam get pushed back into this world of violence because of, well, not only because of their goal, but because they're trying to protect each other. Like, um, so seeing Din struggle with the violence, seeing Din struggle with those decisions is really interesting
mhm,
because, like you said, there is a human under that armor, and he's
mhm,
contemplating not only being a father to Grogu, but he's also
mhm.
trying to honor his creed as a Mandalorian
Exactly, that's what I'm yes, 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 100%.
because let's face it, weapons and warfare are their religion. That's one thing that is
Exactly.
constantly
Yep.
drilled into the
Mhm,
Mandalorian lore.
mhm,
And to see Din struggle with that and also trying to find this perfect medium, like in between, like to toe that line, it's very interesting because
exactly.
this is the most brutal we've seen Din Djarin
Right.
outside of like season one. Like, this is the
Mhm,
most brutal we've seen Din Djarin, and, you know, he's doing this to protect, this is like a John Wick thing, like,
mhm.
kind of, like, he's doing
Right.
this to protect Grogu, like,
Yeah.
and to protect his way of life, and I also think that there's Rada is a perfect example of this, but also Embo is a perfect example of he's just trying to do the job. Like, Embo
Yeah.
has no hard
Oh,
feelings
yeah.
against Din
Oh,
Djarin.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Like
That
like
we know of.
yeah,
Right. Yeah, yeah.
because, like, when you see them face off against each other, like, in the movie, like, Embo has this respect for Din, like, he's like, "Oh, this dude could kick my ass." Like, this like, this dude,
Yep.
like, if I piss this guy off enough, like, I'm going down. Like, um, and, going to Embo, how did you feel about the use of Embo in the movie? Like, as a Clone Wars fan?
I liked it honestly
Yeah,
because I honestly liked that it wasn't, like, heavy-handed, "This is a cameo," you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
obviously, they are aware it's, like, in a cameo, like, they still have, like, the very like, the panning shots with the music, you know, like, they're aware of it, but they don't, like, go as heavy-handed into it as I was worried about,
yeah,
and I think, like you said, like, the character's place in the story and what he stands for as, like, an obstacle for Din, it worked really well.
yeah.
What did you say right before that? I wanna say something off of that. You said something
About how,
oh my
like,
gosh.
Embo has this respect for Din.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I what speaking of, like, Din's, like what I was gonna say was speaking of Din's, like, use of, like, violence and brutality and, honestly, just, like, the stakes the lengths he goes to protect Grogu, I did wanna applaud the bold choice there's a few really bold choices this movie makes. One of those, which I honestly wanna talk a little bit more about later, is that
Mhm.
sequence with Grogu, and then the other one was Din's use of, like, combat.
Yeah.
Because if people would like go back and listen to our finale Mandalorian podcast, one of the biggest things I talked about at the end of that podcast was you brought up like how the Mandalorians are going to go forward, and we were talking about like the destruction of the dark saber and how we were curious how Mandalorians were going to proceed. Um,
Yeah.
and at one point we were talking about how the Mandalorian like creed is like so tied to to warrior culture, like you said, that
Mhm.
use of strength and the
Yeah.
warrior culture. And um I respected that despite the end of the Mandalorian, the end of season 3 being so big about Mandalorians, like, healing, the fact that
Mhm.
they still did not stray away from that aspect of their
Mhm.
society, like the fact that they are warriors.
Mhm.
And I really respected that this movie was willing to take those steps, like you said, like, yeah, he's a father, but he are like the stakes of the galaxy are clear, and he is going to do what he needs to, not only to
Mhm.
protect Grogu but to protect himself. And I honestly just also for like props to them for a movie that was heavily that is still, honestly, I was seeing like ads pop up in my TikTok today. It's still being heavily marketed with like cute Grogu stuff, which like good on them. Get the
Yeah.
the audiences attached, but the
Yeah.
fact that like a movie that's being so heavily marketed as a Uwu Grogu movie is has such, like you said, such brutality in it. That
Yeah.
is such a
I
bold
mean,
choice for Dave and John to make, and I really respect it.
well, I mean, going to the cold open, like I said, the cold open of the movie is absolutely brutal because you have an
Exactly. Yeah.
imperial warlord who
Yeah.
murders somebody in cold blood.
Mhm.
Din is going through those hallways just wrecking people, like,
Right.
left and right,
Right.
and
Right.
then he's literally burning snowtroopers alive, like, trying to get this warlord.
Right.
He kills how many people in AT-ATs, like, on
I
that
love
ridge?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I will say this, like, that while that sequence is, like, very exciting and very brutal, it does have one of the funniest moments of the movie, and that is when Grogu is just, like, tapping the helmet, like, when with the bombs.
Yes.
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 Yeah, but
Yeah.
not once did that joke, like, take me out of what was going on, because
Mhm.
because I was kind of like, "This actually works for this sequence," because you are seeing how brutal Din is at his job. And then, like,
Right.
you've got Grogu who's, like, holding his own too in this walker,
Yeah.
and then he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, um, yeah, we're about to go kaboom, and we need to go." And, like, Din's like, "Yeah,
Right.
no, I see it," and then, like, they do a really, really good job at towing that line between the humor and, like, the intensity of it.
Yeah.
Because, like, even the mouse droid thing, like, when Grogu destroys the mouse droid, like, I said, "Okay, that's really funny. That's actually really good for this moment." Um,
And Din's probably a proud father with his hated droids.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I had to
exactly.
throw that in there, I'm sorry.
No, 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 no. No, I mean, yeah, but I I love that opening sequence because this is the old school Din Djarin that we've been wanting for a very, very long time. And we
Mhm.
finally got him back. Like,
Mhm.
that to me was that. Um, then so one thing
Oh
that
boy.
I'm gonna talk about with the criticisms.
Okay, you go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, because I was thinking about the opening sequence and then I was thinking about the title sequence of the movie.
Mhm.
I don't care that we had credits for the opening because you know
Thank
why?
you. Thank you.
You
Yes.
know
No.
why? I'm listening to
Mhm.
Ludwig Göransson's score and I'm just
Right.
enjoying it. Like, I'm listening to that theme. I'm good. Like, I am good.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
doesn't need an opening crawl. The
Yeah.
movie doesn't need that. Like,
Mhm.
I I'm so happy that like the decision that they made that just like the Star Wars fans that are pissed off at opening credits for a movie. Really? Really?
Right.
Like,
Right. And I think it's the awareness of the movie that it is its own thing.
yeah,
Like, Solo and Rogue One don't have a traditional, like, opening,
no,
just like those movies, this is a, like, standalone, like, it's not part of our, like, main saga, whatever, like, it makes its own choice, and the movie and the creatives are aware of the fact that their score is one of the standouts of their project, and
yes,
another reason I love it is like you're getting time to just see a space and just breathe
mhm.
and like listen to that music before, especially because you say the opening itself is the cold open is brutal, and
It
to give
is,
the audience time to breathe and take in that
yeah,
music and just like take it in before you jump right back in the action, I think was a smart choice if anything.
yeah, and
um yeah.
yeah, and I love the visuals of a Delphi base too, like, that just made me so happy to see. Like,
Mhm.
seeing the X-Wings, like, land on a Delphi base, like, seeing the
Yeah.
U-Wing land on a Delphi base, like, that just made me just so happy, like, um, and also, with the opening credits, they gave not only did Pascal get the top billing, they gave the 2 stunt performers the top billings of the movie as well,
Yep.
which is
Mhm.
amazing. Like, that made me
Yes,
so
yes,
happy. Um,
yes.
Speaking of casting, because,
Mm.
we're on that and we're going through all of this, thoughts on Sigourney Weaver as Colonel Ward? Like, what'd you think? Or could they have done the movie without her?
I wish I wish this is part of the reason I go back to, like, the feeling of how this was episodic to me.
Yeah,
Um, I wish she obviously, the story as it is in the show as well is very much from Din's perspective, which is why, like, we talked about that whole Din versus Grogu separated thing. Um,
yeah,
so, like, I understand why they weren't, like, constantly panning back to her or whatever, like, you know what I mean?
mhm,
But also I still feel like I wish her presence, just because I feel like they built her such a strong presence at the beginning of the movie,
yeah,
um, that I wish that presence could have been more prominent. Like, I don't know, maybe Din has like a freaking comm link or something, like some way, to like even like
mhm,
again, if even if they didn't want to leave Din's perspective, just some way to have her consistent throughout that series. Like something I call back to, like for example, like it's like almost like Hera continually like keeping contact with like Ahsoka during
yeah,
about like missions and stuff. You know what I mean? Like just keeping that contact, especially because like they built such a good like um
mhm,
rapport with them in terms of like their back and forth. And I feel like when Din is because like Din might be getting in over his head in some situations. And like I
mhm,
get why, because like they wanted like shock value with them fighting later, obviously. But like I get it. But like I
mhm,
feel like they could have done a bit more with her presence just because
yeah,
again they built such a strong like back and forth with them. And I feel like she was just a strong presence. And if anything, again, it goes back to wanting even just in general more of that female presence in the movie, but also
yeah,
just like beyond her gender as a character, she just again, I think it was mainly her strength and her presence, and I felt like that strength would have done well throughout the movie. And
yeah,
yeah, but like what we did get of her, because you asked about my opinion on her in
yeah,
general,
yeah,
I loved
sure,
what we did get. I loved what
mhm,
we did get. What we did get
yeah,
was really great. I loved her back and forth with Din. I loved again, kind of like Rada, she's a character that really like pushes Din to question things.
mhm,
It's like, is that really why you're doing this? Are you doing it for this reason? Like you need again, which is another reason why she could have been beneficial throughout the movie
yeah,
is the more characters you have to test your
mhm.
protagonist, the better a movie is going to become. So yeah, I don't know. More could have been great, but
Well,
I loved what we got.
I also feel like even if they, like, removed her from the movie,
Mhm.
they could have used Carson Teva in the role too.
Mm.
A little
So you
bit,
want to
a
remove
little
another
bit.
female from the movie, Eric?
No, 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 I'm just saying,
I'm giving you a hard time.
like,
I know.
yeah, 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 but you know what I mean, though,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
if she wasn't in the movie, like, if you needed a character like that, like, Carson Teva is that character as well.
Or even you could have given more depth to Zeb in the movie even.
Exactly,
Like,
exactly.
maybe Zeb holds more of the, because Zeb has a lot of experience in, like,
He
in
does.
war, in, like, personal stakes, in
Mhm.
having younger siblings or, like, people you have to take care of,
Yeah,
like, that he's been through so much, like, whereas, like, again, I don't wanna remove her because, like, female representation, but, like,
yeah.
again, like, if we had to, like, have another character, like you said, taking
Mhm.
that role, I feel like that could have given
Hey,
more
Cam.
depth to Zeb's character within the movie itself. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? To have
Yeah.
those
Uh,
conversations be him.
I'm not saying, like, remove her from the movie because
No, no,
I
no,
think
no,
she's
no.
amazing. Like, I think she's
She's
absolutely
amazing. I love
amazing.
it.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I was telling my wife, like, when we were leaving the movie, I was like, "It was so refreshing to see Sigourney Weaver not play a 17-year-old blue person."
Oh my God! Stop. We're not talking about Avatar right
No, no,
now.
no, we're not. But
No.
I was like,
No.
it was really nice just to have Sigourney Weaver be Sigourney Weaver. And
Right.
you could tell like she
Right.
was having a lot of fun with her role in the movie. Like,
I don't know. I liked her more in this than Avatar. So
oh, absolutely, and me too.
right.
I 100% agree.
Right. Yeah.
In Avatar, she's space Jesus. Anyway,
Right.
anyway, I think she's fantastic in the role. I love how she ends up being she ends up kind of saving the day at the end as well, like, her and the Adelphi Rangers, like, coming in, and,
Yes.
that just that made me really happy. Um, that also has, like, one of the best jokes of the movie too, with the Anzellans targeting the creature, like, in the swamp, like,
Mhm.
everybody's shooting at something, and the Anzellans are like, "Yeah, we're gonna kill that thing," like
Oh
like,
my
"Yeah,
God,
we got
yeah.
that." Um,
They're
no, I think
scary. They're cute but
they are
scary.
scary. Yeah, no, they are. Um, but
Oh,
I
yeah,
loved
no,
her
no.
role in the movie because, like, and you feel her presence throughout the movie even when you don't
Oh,
see her,
yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no,
um
I didn't necessarily mean we don't feel that presence, I just feel like,
yeah,
again, that we could have gotten even more,
yeah,
from her, but yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I
keep
would have
going.
loved to have seen more from her, not that, like, we didn't get enough, but, like, I would have
Yeah,
loved to see more because
mm,
she was such a strong character.
yeah,
I will say, I wanna keep that conversation going actually, though.
yeah,
Um,
keep
while
going.
I loved while I loved her in this movie, I love Zeb. They completely underutilized him in this movie, and that's the
Oh,
reason
they
I
did,
bring up that he could have had
they
more
did.
conversations with Din,
Mhm.
um, in a similar way that her character did, because
Yeah,
again, Zeb has a lot of perspectives again on war, on violence, on having a child to take care of.
yeah,
He has so much perspective, and instead he felt like a tag along. And
yeah,
it felt like a lot of more of his banter was just like, "Oh no, watch out!" Not like, "Oh,
yeah.
I can't help you if you get into
I
trouble." Not. It wasn't as personal, and it made me sad because I'm like, "Zeb is such a great character. You could have done so much more with him."
I think, like, going to Zeb, there's 2 things. One of them was a humorous observation that I had, and I'll save that for my second point, but the first point
Okay,
was, um, he could have easily helped Mando on Shikari. Like, he could have
right.
easily, like, been in the city on Shikari and, like, helped him, like, navigate that underworld and everything. Like, could you have imagined Zeb in that bar fight, like, on
That's what
Shikari?
I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like, come
like, that
on
would have been
now.
amazing. That would have been so fantastic. And, like,
Right.
him, like, just trash talking the dudes like Zeb would do, like, that would be amazing. Um,
Right. Mhm.
there is another character I wanted to see with Zeb, and that's his husband.
That was what I was gonna bring up as soon as you were done talking.
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
was Callus?
yeah. Where was Callus?
Where was
Um,
he?
yes, I am a big
I'm
fan
standing
of
by what everyone's saying he's with, like, the little Lasats and like the
yeah,
Lasat kids or whatever, but I'm like, "Guys, I need him I need to see him, like, physically alive to feel better,
yeah,
please. Like, just
but
show me him,
they
please."
could have easily had Callus just, like, in the background, like, in the Adelphi Rangers bar or something like that, like
Exactly, right.
yeah, b yeah.
Like like, he didn't even get brought up. He wasn't even mentioned.
No,
I'm like,
no.
Zeb, where's your husband? Where is he?"
Yeah, like, he could have just been like, "Yeah, I gotta get back to Callus," or something like that, like, that would have been amazing, like
That easy, right?
yeah, yeah,
Well, no, but that goes back to kind of what I was saying about Zeb not feeling personal. if
Yeah,
you get what I mean? Like,
I get it.
which, like, I get, like, the story isn't about him. I know, he's not the story isn't about
Yeah.
Zeb, I get it. But at the same time, when you bring in, like, and I feel like I wanna emphasize this, it's different with Embo because when you have, like, an antagonist, I think it's very easy to keep them static, but when you have
Yeah.
someone working alongside your protagonist, I feel like there's less of a room to neglect their previous content and what they've
Mhm.
been through, especially again when it comes to those conversations about what they're doing.
Mhm.
Because I feel like kind of similar like to what Rada was talking to him about, like having a youngling or whatever, like you know what I mean. Like
Mhm.
again, a lot of Zeb's comments were just like, "Oh, I can't call in the New Republic if you get in the danger." Like a lot, it felt a lot more like, "Oh, it's just a joke." Zeb's just like, "Be careful," and
Mhm.
I feel like you could have had at least like one conversation, like even just one conversation that could maybe make Zed feel like more of
Mhm.
an individual and acknowledge like his past because I feel
Yeah.
like that could have added to Din's moral compass because Zeb
Yeah.
again has been through a lot and um like he's dealt with like criminals and like that's what I'm saying like
Mhm.
he's dealt with all kinds of things before
Yeah.
and again, it doesn't have to be anything super in depth, but
Mhm.
kind of like you said, even an offhanded comment about Cal. So even an offhanded comment about like his past with like I don't know, freaking I don't know Hondo or something. I don't even
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
just something like a comment
Mhm.
about his experience, like
Mhm.
could have made him feel like more of a character in this movie.
I agree because there are a few people that at my work that have now seen it that were like, "Well, yeah, we enjoyed the movie. However, who was the purple guy?"
Right,
And I was like,
like
"Oh, that's Zeb." And they're like, "Well, what's he from?" And like I had
right.
to explain Rebels. And they're like, "Oh, well, that's animated. I'm not going to watch that." And I was like, "Well, that's your first mistake, judging
See,
it
and
for it being animated."
I think this is an important conversation again, and like because I think there's a difference. There's a difference between expecting your audience to do too much homework ahead of time to know who characters are,
Yes.
while also still not neglecting their previous content. I feel
Mhm.
like again, there was a way that you could have like in an understandable way for the audience bring up his
Mhm.
past without making it too
Yes.
confusing, you know what I mean? Like him making a comment about Hera or Ezra or something
Mhm.
would not be too confusing as long as the comment is made clear. Like him comparing like I know Ezra and Grogu are nothing alike, but for example, making a comparison like, "Oh, I had a brother who was blah 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 blah," like the
Yeah.
audience doesn't need to know Rebels, but again, if anything,
Mhm.
maybe that would make them more intrigued to watch Rebels
Mhm.
beyond just, oh, what's Rebels? Oh, it's an animated show. Instead, it's like, oh, Ezra is similar to blah, blah, blah character that I
Mhm.
watched in this movie. Maybe I want to go watch that show and figure out what that connection is.
You could have also had
So
Chopper in the U-wing too at the end.
right. No,
Yeah.
but I think this is like an important thing to bring up because it's
Yeah.
like I've seen a lot of people saying like how they liked how this movie you didn't have to do a lot of homework beforehand,
I
like
was gonna
because
say that.
it was very and which I really respect and I love,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I feel like there's a way again to
Mhm.
not have your audience do a lot of homework while still not neglecting the previous content and like
Yeah.
what the characters have been through. Um, and I really would wish had just I guess just had wished that he wasn't just a tag along. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
he could have been more of a Rada in this movie, where he had more impact
Mhm.
on Din's personal journey. Just choosing to include because again, choosing to include Zeb of all characters, I don't want it because the use of him it makes it feel more like a cameo, which I hate
Mhm.
to say because the fact that they didn't tie him more into Din's journey in this movie makes him feel more like a cameo. Whereas,
Mhm.
like maybe Sigourney Weaver had joined him, like the thing wouldn't have changed because he was just like a pilot to get Din where he needed to go.
Yeah.
There wasn't a particular conversation they had where I'm like, oh my gosh, you couldn't have replaced Zeb with anyone because then that conversation wouldn't have happened if that makes sense.
Well,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
because honestly, it could have been Boba Fett. like flying Din
Right,
around.
it could have been literally anyone,
Yeah,
exactly, and
yeah,
that's when you know you've wasted a character in a movie, when
yeah,
I could replace them with any other character I've seen before,
yeah.
and I
I
wouldn't feel like the stakes or anything would change.
I do agree with that. I will say they handled him well for what he's in the movie. Like
Oh, for sure.
they
Oh,
handled
for
him
sure,
very
yeah.
well, but I do
Yeah,
agree, like, I think they could have done a lot more to his character.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
I also
I'm not
feel
saying, like, they
like
mischaracterized him or anything, like,
yeah,
he for what he has in the movie is good, and I'm glad
yeah,
I got to see him again. I missed him, like,
yeah,
I
I
love
miss
Zeb,
him too,
but
yeah.
again, they just could have done so
I
much more,
I
which I'm
also
sick of
feel
saying with Star Wars, but here we are
I
again.
I I also feel like with this movie, like when it comes to um like shifting focus, because I think that's um one of the biggest complaints that we had about Book of Boba Fett was they shifted focus halfway through the season
Yep,
to focus
yep.
on the Mandalorian and Grogu,
Mhm.
where that wasn't the right call. And I feel like
Yeah.
for this movie they were like, yeah, The Mandalorian has a really big supporting cast, and it does. Like, the show has a really big supporting cast. However, I feel like they were like, well, yeah, we'll bring Zeb into it for fan service, but also to, like, because he was in the show for a brief second, and
Right,
he's active in the New Republic in this era. Like, I
right.
get it. But at the same time, I feel like if they had done more with Zeb and Colonel Ward, it would have been another Book of Boba Fett situation where they would have shifted
Mm.
focus from. You get what I mean, though. Like if they
Well,
had
that's what I
like,
mean about it just even being one conversation, though. Like, I'm
yeah,
not saying he
I get
had to
it.
become a protagonist, I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
I get it.
like, when they did interact on the ship, it could have been more I could have seen Zeb more than just a New
Yeah,
Republic
I
pilot
get it.
with Din,
Yeah,
you know what I
he's a
mean?
taxi service essentially in
Right,
the
right, right, exactly. Right.
yeah. He does get an awesome hallway fight. Like, I was so
Oh,
happy
yeah,
about the
th
hallway
again,
fight.
I'm
Yeah,
happy with, like, what they still happy
yeah,
with what they did. I just
yeah.
wish I could have seen more of him in the movie, you know?
I will say, like, I feel like they kind of learned that though from the Book of Boba Fett. Like, they learned that lesson where, like,
Yeah,
a lot of us were like, no, they were fine episodes. It's just we didn't want that. Like, we wanted Boba Fett. Like, this is a Boba Fett
right.
show.
That's
It
fair.
needs to be Boba
That's
Fett.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and even then, like, going back to, like, whatever character could have been there, like, because the way they utilized Zeb, like, it could have been any other character. It could have been Cobb Vanth, it could have been Fennec Shand, like, it could have been
Bro,
anybody.
Cobb Vanth died, but okay.
No, he was in the back to tank, he was in the back to tank.
Oh, yes, he was in the back to tank. Yes, yes, yes,
Yes,
yes,
yes.
yes,
Cobb Vanth was in the
yes.
back to tank at the end of Book of
Cobb
Boba
Vanth
Fett.
was in the back of tank. He's
Yeah,
probably okay now. Yes,
yeah.
that's true. That's
And,
true.
well, I mean, Timothy Oliphant constantly texts Dave Filoni and John Favreau saying it's been this many days since we've seen Cobb
Right.
Vanth,
Well,
like,
there
we
you
need to
go.
bring him
Like,
back, yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but it's one of those things where I totally get where you're coming from, especially because you're one of the biggest Rebels fans that I know.
Yeah.
Um, and, like, to see him, like, utilized in this movie, it's awesome, but I agree,
Right.
like, there could have been more context to the character. Speaking of Book of Boba Fett, I was very happy that we got the twins again.
Mm.
Like, I thought that that was an
Oh,
interesting inclusion
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
into the movie,
Mhm.
because I said, "Oh, okay, well, I liked this part of the Book of Boba Fett." It's like, it's nice to see them as the antagonists. Um, I would have also been really happy, like, if Black Chrysanthemum was actually the one to kind of bring in, but no, like, Black Chrysanthemum and Din are friends because of Book of Boba Fett. But you know what I mean. Like, Black Chrysanthemum could have been in the movie too, like, in a cameo or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Yeah, keep going, keep going. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there.
No, you're good. You're good. Like my brain scattered too. I forgot Cobb Vanth was in a freaking back this thing. Oh my god.
Cobb Vanth.
See, because all I think about is that scene. You know, I don't think about him in the back. You know. Okay. Okay. Um. Again, I want to go back to it was such a bold choice to have such a long quiet sequence. Oh my goodness, like that that was one of the things I respected the most about this movie. Like the fact
Yeah.
that a movie that is marketed towards kids and also is
Mhm,
marketed such on so much action and like it still has a lot of action, you know, but like to
mhm,
have a movie that's marketed in those two capacities, to have such a long sequence with no dialogue.
mhm.
Um, and not only that, but it takes a sequence and it doesn't just be like, okay, here's your however I didn't timestamp this. I've only seen it once so far, guys. I'm sorry. I
Mhm.
wanted to go again this week, but I was too busy.
It's about
But
halfway
like
through the
I don't
movie.
have a timestamp. No, no, no. Like how long the sequence itself is. I know when it is in the movie. I just don't know
Oh,
how
yeah,
long.
yeah,
Um,
it's like a good 10 minutes. Like,
right,
it's
like 10
yeah,
minutes or whatever sequence. Um, uh, to have like a 10-minute or whatever sequence, and it's not just like, oh, here's your 10-minute whatever sequence of cute baby Yoda moments. It's not that. It's not just cute moments. It's him taking care of
mhm,
Din, being worried about Din, doing his
mhm,
best to survive. Like it doesn't just utilize the cute factor to get through the quiet moment. It actually
mhm.
takes it takes into account the stakes and
Hey,
the
Katrina.
emotional weight of the moment, and it gives us a lengthy serious sequence, and I love that they did that and they took the
Yeah,
time to and they didn't feel the need to throw in another character with him to keep the void filled with
yeah.
vocalization.
I
um
I
yeah.
will say that that was a fantastic choice because, not only did it allow, like, Grogu to catch his breath, essentially, but it allowed the audience to catch their breath and to,
Yeah.
like, really enjoy that sequence. Plus, it's the most beautiful sequence of the movie. Like, it is the most beautiful sequence of the movie. Yeah, Katrina, we should have had you on. I'm sorry. We should have had you on. I apologize.
Oh, Katrina, we love you here.
Yeah, we love you. We miss
Oh,
you.
yeah, I miss
Um,
you so much.
um,
But yeah,
yeah.
no, I love the whole sequence.
Mhm,
And then again, the fact that he really just does what he can to like help Din, and like
mhm.
it really reinforces again kind of what I talk about with Grogu's like journey in this movie about
Yes.
stepping up and not being afraid and taking action and seeing that he is capable. I think that's the important thing because like when we talk about Grogu's trauma, it's not just the fact that he like faced this bad stuff that happened, but that he didn't feel like he couldn't stop it, obviously, because of his age or whatever. But now this is a scenario where he can do what he can to step up and make a difference and save someone. And I think that was really powerful for him. Um, and I and to also because he is an apprentice to get that respect from
Mhm.
Din, I think was really important for him. And what?
No,
What? What's
no,
wrong with
I
you?
was reading the comment. I was reading the comment. You're
Oh,
good.
you're
I'm
good.
not
You're
laughing
good.
at
I
you.
was like,
I'm
what
not
did I say? That
laughing at
was
you.
so funny. Oh
No,
my
no, no, no.
gosh.
I love what
Um,
you're saying. I love what you're saying.
no, it was good. And now I
About
lost
the
my train
quiet
of thought,
moments.
but it's
About the quiet
fine.
moment with and the
Yeah,
decision to do
yeah,
that with
yeah,
Din and Grogu.
yeah. Oh my god, yeah, no, and I also not to call back to because I know people don't really like the Luke stuff, um, but I was rewatching Old Mandalorian the last week because I wanted
Mhm.
to be prepared for today, um, which I clearly should have watched the Book of Boba Fett to harp on myself a bit more because I'm forgetting stuff. But
I should have done the
anyway,
same.
the Luke stuff, like Luke talks a lot. Like Luke is very big about pushing Grogu to take action and to not give up. He like point blank tells Grogu, he's like, when you fall down, like always get back up. He like literally says that
Yeah.
to Grogu. He's like always get back up. And because I think that's a lot like Grogu again. Grogu, I feel like in a lot of the series, like he knows how to take action. It's just like taking those steps to not like give up on himself and see himself as capable. And I think this movie, like in that sequence was big about him feeling capable. And I think the more capable he feels,
Mhm.
the better. And it kind of honestly, it kind of calls back to me. because Din kind of also goes through a similar experience to Kanan in a way where
Yeah.
it's like where Kanan's like, I can't protect Ezra forever. Like that's something Kanan has to learn is that he can't protect Ezra forever, and the best he can do is teach Ezra the best he can. And
Mhm.
Din in this movie, obviously, especially with what happens to him, like the old protect the young and then the young protect the old, kind of
I
similar to
was just
Kanan.
about to
It's like
bring that up. Yeah.
I can protect you, but you have shown me that you can protect yourself and protect me as well. And that is so important for Grogu and for Din to come to that realization for each other that they are both just as capable, and that capability is
Mhm.
something they really like. Again, why I bring up Kanan and Ezra, that's something they play with a lot in Star Wars, and I love.
Mhm.
Again, that's a reason why, no matter how like jarring the episodic nature felt to me, what they did do with the story I respected a lot, because they didn't strive away from things we've seen before throughout Star Wars, and that is one of the things is characters letting their past or their trauma or their feelings of incapability stop them.
Mhm.
And this movie does a lot for both Din and Grogu in feeling capable
Mhm.
in their lives, and I just yeah I just oh I love it, I love it. It feels so refreshing to talk
Yeah.
positively about these characters, because I feel like
Mhm.
they got so lost in, well, I want to say like lost in the plot in season three, that they
They did
couldn't
though.
flesh out them the way they
Yeah.
could have. Yeah,
No, they did because they were going for this thing of the retaking of Mandalore. Like that's what
yeah,
season 3 was,
right,
where we didn't get the character development that we should have gotten. Um
exactly.
Cam, you're right. I wish there was a way to hypnotize people to make them watch Clone Wars and Rebels and Bad Batch and Resistance.
Right. If
Um
only.
yeah, because they're all amazing. Um, I'll get to animated stuff here in a little bit because I do want to talk to you about Shadow Lord just a teeny bit, like towards the end
Hmm.
of what we're
Yeah.
doing here. Um, but yeah, you shrugged off the animated series for years and then finally watched that. Yeah, exactly. Like you kick yourself for not watching the animated stuff. Rebels and Clone Wars, like the first season, the first couple of seasons of Clone Wars are a little rough to get through. The first half of the first
Yeah.
season of Rebels is a little tough to get through, but it grows on you, like
How dare
as
you?
I'm sorry, that's just how I feel. But
I
I
know.
get where you're coming from because yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I
but
get.
I had complaints with Bad Batch too. Like I felt like Bad Batch struggled in the first half of its first
Oh
season,
yeah.
but
Oh
yeah.
yeah. I think back to, I still think the most critical podcast I've ever done was like, I think the episode was Infected or whatever. The episode was like, I don't even know. Like there was one episode of Bad Batch I just tore to shreds on my podcast, and I think back to that and I'm like, Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, like the animated stuff, I going back to the homework thing, I was really, really happy that you didn't really have to do homework with this movie. Like you could have
Yeah,
just
for sure.
gone in and just enjoyed the movie for what it is. Um, yeah, because it's just it it helps. Like they definitely are like, yeah, if you did your homework, like you'll pick up on this thing. But for the most part, if you're just a casual fan, it's very accessible to casual fans. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I so can I talk about um some of the backlash that we've had now? Can I talk about some of the
Yeah,
backlash?
go ahead.
Or do you
Go
want to
ahead, yeah.
still talk about plot points and stuff? Because if that's what you want to do, I'm cool with that too.
No, you're good.
Okay,
Um, I I'm trying to think if there's anything else I really wanted to
sure.
um how about you go, and I'm gonna just
Okay,
think a little bit
okay.
about if there's anything else I wanna talk about.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus because I don't like doing that. Like I don't like calling people out like on the show because I don't think it's respectful. Like even if I don't respect your opinion, you know what I mean? Like but I've seen a lot of people, most of the people that I've interacted that have seen this movie are just like Cam, Katrina, you, me, had an amazing time with the movie, thought it was a lot of fun, smile on the face the entire time, laughing, having a good time, tearing up at the heartfelt moments, just like enjoying Star Wars being Star Wars and Star Wars being fun.
Mhm.
There were some people that I've seen on Twitter, on Threads, on Blue Sky, on all of these places, and on Instagram, where they have said, well, this movie doesn't do anything to honor or build on the lore, the overall lore of Star Wars, and the overall spirituality of Star Wars. To which I have said, it doesn't need to. This is its own
Mhm.
thing. This is its own thing. This is a fun celebration of the show that we all fell in love with back in 2019 that helped carry us through a pandemic for two
Mhm.
additional seasons. This is just a celebration of Star Wars being back in the movies 40, for its 49th year of existence. I mean, this is just it's a fun just shove popcorn in your mouth and shut your brain off for 2 hours
Mhm.
experience. And I think people get I think we like going back to what I said last week. I think we get so into this mindset, especially as content creators, to be so critical because we think we're critics when we kind of are, but we're not at the same time. Where I think we forget to just enjoy the ride and just to enjoy the experience. It
Mhm.
doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to
Mhm.
be amazing. If you have fun with it, that's all that matters. Like,
Mhm.
I've said this about the sequel trilogy, and I know you and I have opposing views on Tross.
Yes, we
Yeah,
do.
but I still have a lot of fun with that movie. And I have a lot of fun with that movie because of my experiences at Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
Like all of those things. But I get it. A lot of people don't like that movie, and that's fair.
Mhm.
That's fair. I'm one of the people that I'm like, I can turn my brain off and just be like, yeah, somehow Palpatine returned. I don't care. I'm having a good time. Like,
Mhm.
not saying that you don't do that. I'm just saying, like, in general, like
You're good.
people, you know what I mean? Like people in general, we have to like get out of these expectations for these movies. Like, I think the expectation for this movie was so high that we just forgot to just have fun with it.
See, I
And
don't even think I had expectations for this, at least
no,
personally, I don't think I had any expectations.
I'm just saying, like, the people that are, like, just
Yeah, no, no,
bashing
no,
this.
I just wanted to say my personal
Yeah,
opinion on that, but yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I had no expectations of the movie
yeah,
outside of, "I'm gonna have a good time."
yeah, and
Like,
I think that helped both of us clearly that we didn't
yeah,
have expectations.
you just went into it being like, "It's Star Wars, it's on the big screen."
Exactly,
Like, that's
right,
all that matters. Like, we're having fun. Like, it felt like Christmas again, right? Like,
yeah,
it felt like those Decembers during the sequel trilogy and
which
with
is
Rogue
weird that we're
One.
talking about a Star Wars movie in May,
Yeah, exactly.
not
Because
December.
the last one that entered in May flopped, but due to boycotting and all that other stuff.
Right, right,
Um, but it felt like it felt like when, like, The Force Awakens came out and, like, when Rogue One came out and, like, Last Jedi and even Solo for us Solo fans, like,
yeah.
that's what it felt like, and I love that feeling, and there's also a tradition there with, my wife and I have seen all of the new Star Wars movies in theaters opening weekend because it's been our tradition, because it's what we bonded over, right? Like,
Yeah,
that's another thing. Like, I think that we just need to just start looking at it as we're passing these stories down to the people that we love and to the next generations. Like, how many kids are going to see this movie and be inspired to become the next generation of filmmakers and storytellers
right.
and cosplayers
No,
and artists?
I was thinking about
Yeah,
that, like, at the movie. I was like,
yeah,
a lot how many people in this, like, giant packed Dolby, this is, like, their first one, you know what I mean? Like, this is their
exactly.
first Star Wars movie on the big screen. Like, it's not even
Yeah,
just first Star Wars movie in general. How many is this their first, like, movie in theaters? Because 'Cause it's been, like, 7
yeah,
years, like, it's been a long
exactly,
time. And just
exactly.
that thought alone is so inspiring and so
Hmm.
powerful to think about, 'cause I am young enough that Force Awakens was my first movie in theaters because that's
Yeah,
how young I
exactly.
am.
Yeah,
And like I'd seen the other movies at home, but like I still remember the impactfulness of seeing one in theaters for the first time, and how important and impactful that was, and how much it
Yeah,
drove my passion to join fandom. Um,
exactly.
like get more into the fandom sphere
Mhm.
beyond just like my own personal enjoyment. And when you think about it in that context, it's so much more inspiring and so much
Yeah,
more. It gives you so much more of a drive to step back and to not feel the need to rip
and
apart every detail. And again, like that doesn't mean that something is free of criticism. Like both of us have still shared criticism tonight, but that doesn't
absolutely.
take away from the fact that we ultimately enjoyed this movie. We saw what it did for the characters and for the story, and its strengths and everything. And again, which we brought up before, a lot of the criticism we often have is wanting to see more. But I think what, again, to go back to how we talked about season three versus how we talked tonight, I think I think if anything, I don't want to say that like it like tore like ruined my love or whatever, but I think like reaching as much of a low as I did at the end of season three, it
Yeah.
helped because I feel like it helped me with the Acolyte. It helped me with this movie because once you like f- feel like as a fan like you had so much hope, and then it's just like it was really devastating to not see that. You know what I mean? Like once you
Yeah.
reach that point, you realize, okay, so like I've seen what it's like to not be delivered to on the level you really hope for. So that makes you more open, I feel like, as a fan, as a person, to just trying to enjoy what you do get.
Mhm.
Because you know at the end of the day that like kind because that's kind of how we ended our conversation way back when season three ended. We
Yeah.
kind of ended it on the context of like what's done is done, basically, is what we said. Like
Mhm.
we can't go back and like change what happened with this season. The best we can do as like fans is just like talk about what happened and see where things go moving forward. Because and we said that, we said when we talked about the creatives and their choices, we said at the end of the day they're the ones
Mhm.
that are putting out the product. Like I've talked openly with you, I don't know how much on the podcast, but you know that one of my
Yeah.
dreams is to do story group. And
Oh, mine too.
I
Yeah.
would my with that being such a passionate dream of mine, my only hope would be that I could put out stories for people to enjoy. And I would be honestly be aware, because I know how this fandom works, that those stories would probably receive criticism. But my goal as a creative at the end of the day would be to just bring people enjoyment and do the best I can with the characters and the stories. And I felt that from this movie. I
Mhm.
felt like they again, kind of compared to season three, it reminded me they do care about these characters. They
Yeah.
care about Din. They care about Grogu because they got so lost in the plot in season three that I'm like, do
Yeah.
they even genuinely care about these characters, or are they just like vessels to tell these stories, like to tell
Mm.
like the retake of Mandalore? You know what I mean? But like this movie, if anything, it reminded me they do care about these characters, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
And it at the end of the day, that helps me
Oh,
as a fan because
yeah.
now I can step back and be like, it's a good reminder for me, I guess, that they at the end
Yeah.
of the day they do care. Because
Yeah.
sometimes if something doesn't fully reach our expectations, and I think going to when we talk about the rise of Skywalker, I feel like a lot of reason things people bring up with that movie is they feel like they didn't care enough about like Ray or Rose or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was
I
something
agree.
people struggled with. So I think that's why when we do get projects where we do see the care and the passion that they have for
Mhm.
characters and stories and all of that, it reminds us that these creators do care. And I
Mhm.
think at the end of the day, that's why when we go calling back to what you said about these people are being so critical, taking a step back. I think that's like what we need to remind ourselves as like because I've seen a lot of the criticism I heard today when I was listening to podcasts. It comes from a place of like critiquing just to critique, which is like I'm very guilty of it. I have oftentimes critiqued things because again, you brought up the content creator idea because like as content creators, when we talk
Mhm.
about a product, we want to bring up the good and the bad, which we kind of did
Yeah.
tonight. Um, But again, there are people behind these projects,
Mhm.
which is why I want to emphasize that right now because I feel like kind of similar to what I say is how I want to be a creative. Um, I think we have to remind ourselves that, like, while we can critique a product, at the end of the day, these people are passionate about the product they're creating.
Yeah, they are.
And that's a reason why, again, why I'm personally so critical of Tross is because I feel like they did not care
Mm,
enough about the product, honestly. And
I-
and like I've seen him make other films where he clearly cares about the product. Like Force Awakens. I love Force Awakens.
yeah,
Um,
Force Awakens.
but I think that's like one of the reasons why I'm more critical of that compared to other stuff is because like at the end of the day, tonight I really felt in these conversations like they had passion
Mm-hmm.
for the characters in the story. And when we're critical of something, I think it's important to take a step back and be like, okay, I said all of these critical things about like how they use Zeb, about
Hmm.
how the structure felt, etc. But at the end of the day, they put out a movie with a lot of heart, with a lot of grit, with a lot of like the cinematography,
Oh
the
yeah.
use of the characters, like all of it is phenomenal. Like if they didn't care, they would have just
Mm-hmm.
stuck in the volume. They would have like slapped together like a few like
Mm-hmm.
action scenes. They wouldn't have had that sequence with Grogu. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
they took all the steps they did because they wanted to show audiences that they
Mm-hmm.
had a story they wanted to tell, and they did have a story they want to tell. And that it breaks my heart when I see because there's a difference again. There's a difference between like critiquing to critique, like critiquing out of like passion and critiquing just to critique.
Yeah.
Um, because at the end of the day, if all we focus on is trying to find what's wrong with something, we're never going to be able to enjoy what
Exactly.
something is giving us.
Exactly. I 100% agree with you because we go to these things to be entertained. We watch these things to be entertained and to enjoy ourselves. And not everything lands. Not
Yeah.
everything lands. However, like when it comes to a project like this, you do see the love, you do see the care, you do see the passion, and you cannot help but just enjoy yourself because you're seeing that love and that care and that passion on the screen. Like
Mhm.
everybody in that movie looks like they're having the time of their lives.
Right.
Like in this movie, like the Filoni Favreau, like the Filoni Famuyiwa and Cho cameos and the Carson Teva cameos, like that makes me happy because like they're having a great time. They're in X-wing gear, right? Like they're
Right,
flying
right,
X-wings, like
exactly.
they're blowing crap up,
God.
like they're having a great time. Like
Right.
every time I see Dave Filoni as Trapper Wolf, I'm like, this dude's having fun. Like
Mhm.
he's wearing his cowboy hat, he's having a good time. He doesn't care, like
Right.
he's in the moment, and I think that's another thing. We as fans have got to start living in the moment when it comes to this stuff. Like
Yeah. Oh, for
just
sure. I
yeah,
spent so much of season 3 worried about the end that
exactly.
even though I had a lot of problems with season 3, I couldn't even enjoy season 3 because I
Exactly.
was so scared about how they were
Mhm.
gonna handle the retake
You
that
and
I
me
couldn't
both.
even enjoy the season.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and you and I were very critical of that season. Very,
Oh, for sure.
very
Oh,
critical.
for sure. I know the funniest thing was because that's when I started to be on your podcast more. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
people are gonna think I'm such a negative person.
No, but you weren't
Uh,
though.
right.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah, you weren't negative about it because you were just
Yeah,
expressing your concern over the decisions that they made, and
right.
that's just what we have to do now. Just like, so my big thing is I feel like I hit kind of that rock bottom moment with Shadow Lord, in my
Mm,
opinion. Um,
okay, interesting.
so here
I haven't
are
actually listened to your podcast much recently, so do tell. I wanna
okay.
hear.
So here's he- and I'm bringing this into the fandom thing and expectations and everything.
No, you're good. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah. So my biggest problems that I had with Shadow Lord
Mhm,
was I feel like it suffered from an identity crisis of what kind of show they wanted to make. Like, did they want to
okay.
make a crime drama or did they want to make a mall revenge tale?
Mm,
Like,
mhm,
I feel like when it's about like Lawson chasing Maul, it's at its strongest.
mm,
I think
Mhm.
that show is at its strongest when it's the investigation into Maul. I feel
Okay.
you could have easily done the show without Devin and her master. I really feel like that was just, to me, that plot just didn't go anywhere for me. And to me it
Mhm.
just felt like it bogged the show down. Um I also feel like Maul himself was in the spotlight way too many times. Like, you would think for something called Shadow Lord, you wouldn't see him that much, right?
Mm.
Like,
Mhm.
if he's supposed to be the one pulling the strings, you shouldn't be seeing him that much
Mhm.
in this show.
I got you.
I also feel so, like, the use of the Inquisitors, that didn't bother me because they were actually kinda scary. The Inquisitors I felt were kinda scary. And I was like, "Okay, they're doing their thing." However, I almost threw my remote at the TV when Vader showed up because
Oh, no.
I was so
Oh,
angry
no.
with that decision. I was so angry with that decision because I was thinking to myself, not everything needed Vader. Not everything needs Vader
Mm.
to show up. Like,
Fair.
you would think, like, if they were gonna bring in, like, a big bad for that, bring in the Grand Inquisitor because he's around at this point. Because
Yeah.
Vader's also doing a bunch of other stuff in this time period, and I'm like, "So, I thought that he was with Thrawn. I thought that he was with Tarkin. I thought that he was doing this. I thought that he was doing that." And it's like, no, Vader had time out of his busy schedule to go here and fight Maul, and to me, that just kind
Yeah.
of annoyed me.
Yeah.
So I will say this. I thought that the show itself was enjoyable because I felt the voice acting was incredible, the action sequences were fantastic, and the animation was top notch. The story decisions to me just didn't make a lot of sense. And I feel like that was
Mhm.
my rock bottom moment because
Mm.
like right after I watched Maul, I was like, "Oh man, I'm so burnt out on Star Wars now. Like I don't care." And then like I talked to a few people including Darth and Turnus about this. Tom, the Del Rey editor.
Mhm.
And I was talking to him and he actually kind of set me straight and he goes, "It's hard to be a fan of everything in this franchise because there's way too much out there, right? Like
Mhm.
at this point, I think we need to just pick and choose the things that we love and focus on those things." And
Yeah.
for me, like that kind of lit a fire under my butt because he's like, "What are the things in Star Wars that you love?" And I was like, "Okay, I love the animated stuff. Outside of Shadow Lord, I love the animated stuff."
Mhm.
Bad Batch is my favorite animated series. I think it's the best one that they've ever done. I know that you're a Rebels girly. I know that there's a lot of Clone Wars people, but there's a lot of Bad Batchers like myself. Love it. Um, a lot of people love like Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Underworld, Tales of the Empire. Like I love those too. But I love Star Wars animation. And then I love Galaxy's Edge. And in turn, I
Mhm.
love the sequel trilogy with its flaws, with everything. I still love that trilogy. And I was like, you know what? I had so many amazing experiences at Galaxy's Edge. I really want to watch the sequels again. So I
Mhm.
started doing that. I started watching Resistance, which is a highly underrated animated series and should have gotten a lot more love and a lot more attention.
Yeah.
And that's how I got my passion back. And then like my wife's like, "I really want to see Mandalorian and Grogu opening weekend." And I was like, "You know what? Let's go. Let's go. Maybe this will help reignite my passion too." And let me tell you something. It did because I had no expectations on the movie. I just went in and I said, "You know what? I'm continuing this tradition with my wife. I'm excited about this. We get to watch brand new Star Wars in almost 7 years. Let's just have fun." And that's where I'm at now because I hit that rock bottom moment like you did with Rise of Skywalker and with The Mandalorian season 3.
Mainly in season 3, yeah. Miss
Yeah.
Matt Mango,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But like I hit that rock bottom moment and I know exactly what you mean. And here's another thing that I'm going to say about this. If something doesn't sit well with you within Star Wars, there are tons of other projects that you can enjoy that you can be like, "You know what? I love that." Or "I love that thing." And this thing may not have sat well with me, but guess what? I acknowledge that happened. There's a fan out there for that thing, and that's all that matters. Like, there are
Mhm.
tons of people that love Shadow Lord. I'm not gonna rain on their parade. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Like you loved
right,
it. I'm not gonna
yeah,
rain on your parade because you
mhm,
had a great time with it. We
yeah.
can talk about the things that worked and the things that didn't work, but you know what? I'm not gonna pressure you with my points of view and be like, "Well, you have to
Yeah,
see it from my perspective." Like, you had fun with it. Great.
yeah,
You enjoyed it.
right,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Like, who am I to take that joy away from somebody? And that's what we have to stop doing that as fans. We have to stop doing that. So,
Yeah.
I'm off my
Oh, yeah.
soapbox now.
No, you're good, you're good, yeah,
Yeah.
you're good. I
Um,
get it, like, I talked a lot tonight about
yeah.
how I, like, season 3 really wrecked me, like,
Yeah.
I
But I
I
w
I
yeah.
I got you, I totally get it,
But I will say this, as 2 people that did not like season 3 that much, this made up for season 3.
oh, for
I feel
sure,
like this makes up
yeah.
for season 3.
It I feel like I honestly just I can't say that as much as you.
Yeah,
Okay, how about this? It made up for season 3 for the characters, not for the plot. I as a
fair,
Mandalorian fan, I'm still
100%.
heartbroken over how they handled that whole situation. I mean, it's been what, how many years? Like 2 years or whatever, and I'm
2 or
still
3 years,
honestly
yeah,
wrecked over it.
yeah.
3 years. My God, how has it been 3 years?
But
But,
you know
I'm still wrecked over it, but at the end of the day, again, I'm not gonna like, clearly, I've still been able to enjoy, like, I enjoyed Maul, I enjoyed
mhm,
this movie, like, it hasn't
mhm,
completely destroyed
exactly,
my love of Star Wars or
exactly.
something, but I understand where you're coming from with, like, that
Mhm,
rock bottom moment, people have probably noticed I haven't been online as much since Mando ended. I've noticed it myself,
yeah,
and that's not just because 'cause I'm busy here, because, like, honestly,
yeah,
living and working at Disney World is very busy, and that's the biggest reason I haven't been online, but
mhm,
obviously, like you said, it's hard to be in a space where
mhm,
everyone is hypercritical,
mhm,
um, and if anything, which is it hurts. It's sad for me that I felt like I've been able to enjoy it more since I've stepped offline. Because I was just talking about, how watching Force Awakens and getting more into online fandom was
yeah,
so inspiring for me,
mhm,
and I really do I hope like, the things you're saying, like, people do take it into account because I want to be able to go back online. I want
yeah,
to get back into these spaces and not feel like these spaces are gonna make me feel the need to look for what I can critique.
mhm,
Because again, that's what it felt like when I was listening to podcasts today,
mhm,
is it almost felt like people were looking for what to critique. Not
yeah,
even like they were just like not even it because that was the thing I struggled with today, is it wasn't even just like, "Oh, I felt this critical," like, kinda a lot of my criticisms I brought up tonight were things I felt in the movie theater. But a lot of these,
yeah,
like, some of the critiques I heard today felt like things that people had, like, searched for after they left the movie. Like, had
exactly,
sat down and been like, what can I critique about this movie so I can, bring it up in my pocket?" Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And that's hard. That's hard to, like, listen to as a fan because it's like, at the end of the day, they all still, like, said how much they enjoyed it, which,
mhm,
and I'm sure they did, but, like, I feel like kind of what I just said earlier tonight, if we spend so much time, like, looking for what to critique, we're never gonna spend enough in time enjoying what we can enjoy, and it's like and I feel like because I feel like if anything, sometimes criticism can our negative views, which I'm guilty of, can surpass our positive views. That's not
mhm,
just about Star Wars, but that's just things in life in general. It's
mhm,
so often easy to focus on the negative, and that's something I've had to
mhm,
personally work through a lot lately with my personal life too.
mhm,
And it's important as people. to step back and remind our and my parents have had to do that with me with a lot lately. They're like, sit back and like think about all the good things that happened this week.
Mhm.
Think about all the people in your life that have made you feel joy because
Yeah.
that'll help you work through what isn't working for you or what is
Mhm.
hurting you. And I think that same personal experience reflects in us in fandom
Mhm.
where the more time we spend like ruminating on what hasn't worked, it's gonna like it's kind of that's kind of why we reach those, like you said, those breaking moments. Because
Mhm.
if we keep piling and piling and piling, and it just becomes
Mhm.
this mountain of critiques, at what point do we break? At what point do we give up? We don't. I don't because I don't want to give. Like I don't want people to give up. It's like I don't want to lose people in this fandom because they're
Yeah.
so focused on because I think that's something I struggle with too. And again, I'm guilty of it too, which I need to work on. Is
Mhm.
sometimes when we bring up a critique, we're like, oh, because remember I also had this critique about season three. You know what I mean? Like, if
Mhm.
we just like reference a critique with another critique we have, that's like it's building this
Yeah.
history of criticalness about Star
Mhm.
Wars. And the more we build up critiques in our mind, again, the less we'll see what we did enjoy.
Mhm. And
It'll
I also,
overshadow it.
yeah,
Because I think a
I,
lot of one more thing.
yeah,
I think
yeah, go.
a lot of people I know have forgotten why they love the sequels
Mhm.
because they all they can think about is why Tross hurt them, and that's
Mhm.
all they can focus on, and they
Mhm.
can't like they can't even think about why they like the Last Jedi because how Tross like hurt them
Mhm.
surpasses that in their mind. That's what I think why I bring up the fact of people how the negatives can often
Mhm.
permeate like overcome the
Oh,
positives in
yeah.
our head. Um, yeah.
Yeah. I also feel like we as like in the content creator space, we put so much pressure on ourselves to constantly stay relevant by
Oh,
doing
for
these
sure.
criticisms and by doing
Exactly.
by trying to get that bit of information out there um that we forget that we fell in love with this universe because it was fun. Like we fell in
Right.
love with this in the first place because we had a good time, because our parents showed us these movies, or a loved one showed us these movies, and we fell in love with those things. And I feel like in this space we suffer from trying to stay relevant, where we get into that negative space as well.
And I think that's a reason I enjoy The Acolyte so much and I enjoyed
Yeah.
podcasting about The Acolyte because I felt like I was able to do analysis in a positive way
Yeah.
instead of in a negative way. Because I
I
felt like
loved
I spent so
having
much
you on.
season three doing negative analysis, like analyzing why things didn't work in a negative
Mm.
way. Whereas Acolyte, I was able to do analysis on that show in a positive light. Like,
Yeah.
here's my analysis on Osha and May because of the
Mhm.
positive things they're doing for
Mhm.
their characters. Um, and that's such a trap for a content creator when it comes to
Yes.
analysis because I feel like a lot of deep analysis can come when it comes to critique. Like it's very easy to analyze something when we're being
Mhm.
critical because it's so easy to like dig deep into why something doesn't work because I can bring up, like a million plot points from like every show and movie as to why something doesn't work. Whereas
Exactly.
like when we're being positive, oftentimes it's we can't analyze as deeply,
Mhm.
like I can't like go as deep into my analysis of why something
Yeah.
worked
I
as
mean,
sometimes.
I
And so I think that becomes a trap for content creators
yeah.
where they think they will get like more time and more deep discussions by being critical. And I think that's a good point when it comes to content creation. Yeah.
Like I look at so Cam's in our chat right now, and
Mhm.
I look at some of the stuff that he was posting before the movie came out. Like dude was at Burger King like eating the Mando Grogu menu and like taking pictures like eating the menu. And I'm like, that's awesome. He's having a good time with it. Like seeing people with the Grogu nummy Nella wafers, like, and enjoying that, like having a good time with that. That I also did have the Burger King menu too. But I loved I love seeing stuff like that because you're seeing the joy that people have. and their
Yeah.
excitement. Like Cam, pardon my language, Cam, you don't give a shit what people think. Like
Right.
you're just there to have a good time. And if people have a good time with your content, that's awesome. Like, and I think that we need to get to that point as well. Like
Yeah.
we need to
Well,
go back to that.
see, that's what I was saying about missing that
Yeah.
that type of fandom space. I
Yeah.
miss seeing like that
Yeah.
I think back to like the pre I, not to blame everything on the Rise of Skywalker because like again, I know you enjoy it and I know a lot of people who do
No.
enjoy it. But I miss the because you couldn't even say pre Last Jedi to be fair because there was a lot of
Yeah.
criticism over that movie as well. But like that time in fandom, I remember just it felt so much more uplifting to see
Hmm.
the joy and excitement of people.
Yeah.
Um, because again, it goes back to the comment I made about people referencing how they felt about so and so content. Because again, I feel like a lot of the times when I heard people be critical of this movie, they say, "And I haven't been able to be positive since the Rise of Skywalker." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we go back to that place when kind of like when our like fandom broke, like when our Star Wars broke our hearts,
Hmm.
and that's why I say I missed that time before that movie because I feel like a lot of people haven't been able to just even if they say they're excited, it's almost like they're like, "Oh, but remember that time Star Wars broke my heart?" Like, I'm excited, but remember when Star Wars broke my heart
Yeah.
7 years ago? And to be fair, like, you know, I just said I don't like that movie. So like I understand it. I understand it, but it's like
Yeah.
7 years later and we're going to say I don't think Star Wars can like do right because it hurt me 7 years ago. Like that's just
I
I don't
I
know.
no movie is worth 7 years of mental trauma. Like, I'm not saying that
No,
you're going through it, but, like, I'm saying, like, the people
no,
that
no.
use that as a crutch, where it's like, no
Exactly.
movie is worth 7 years of just mental anguish and, like, beating yourself up and saying, "Well, Disney, that's the day Star Wars died because The Rise of Skywalker came out." Like,
Right.
no. Like,
No.
you didn't enjoy the movie. That's
No.
fine. Move on. Like, just
Right. I
move on.
did.
It
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
The only other
like
times I feel like I've really brought up my criticism of Tross is if they bring up like plot lines from that movie. Like, you know, and if they brought
exactly.
up that stuff in Mando. That's the only
Yeah.
time I feel like I've brought it up. You know what I mean?
Well, and then
Um,
for those that are constantly saying like Star Wars is dead, like no, it's not. Go to Galaxy's Edge and see all of the
oh, for
family
sure.
In Galaxy's Edge. Like
See, I
see,
think like
yeah,
not only basically living on Batu, living here, but working in Batu last year, like that itself was like getting Star Wars to become part of my job last year. That was healing on its own. Are you kidding?
exactly.
Like, like to just have fun with characters
Hmm.
like every day. Like it reminded me of the fun, the joy,
Hmm.
like just the feeling. And from my perspective, just because I know people haven't experienced what that's like, but like
Yeah,
I miss this job so much. I love Space Mountain, but I miss my character attendant job.
I get it.
But like seeing the smiles on kids' faces, interacting with those characters, that's the future generation, guys. Those are the
Yeah.
kids that are seeing those characters in the parks. They're
Hmm.
not thinking about how the Last Jedi hurt us. Like they're
Yeah.
thinking, oh my god, there's Rey. Like I love her. She's
Hmm.
great. You know what I mean? Like I want that future generation to have
My
that same inspiring feeling I felt as a teenager in
yeah.
fandom. Like I just yeah.
Seeing my nephew go through Galaxy's Edge
Right. That's what I'm
back in
saying. Like
September, watching him build his first droid. Now, granted, Uncle Eric did have to help him build, build the first droid,
right.
but
Hey, I
watching
struggled
him,
with building a lightsaber. I was terribly coordinated with
but but
I was an
watching
adult
him,
at that point.
but watching
Okay.
him build that droid and like the smile on his face when my wife and I were like, yeah, we're gonna take you to build a droid, like go ahead and pick one out, like he loved it. He had such an amazing time. And,
Mhm.
you know, teaching him about being a droid builder because, that's one of my cosplays is a droid smith, like, sharing that passion with him was amazing. And then like I'll never forget both times that the time my wife built her lightsaber and the time I built my lightsaber and that emotional experience of doing that, like, that's what this is all about. And I'm not saying like in order to be a Star Wars fan, you have to go to Disneyland or Disney World and go to Galaxy's Edge or go to Celebration or what have
Yeah,
you. Just because you don't go to those things doesn't make you any less of a fan. I've already said I'm not going to Celebration. I know I'm not going to Celebration next year.
you're not
Plus,
going. Well, I couldn't
yeah,
get tickets, so welcome to the
yeah.
club. Like,
But
yeah.
I also don't wanna battle 100,000 other people in Anaheim Conventions or LA Convention Center for 4
Oh,
days.
I've talked
Yeah,
to well, people also know I've talked at length about what
yeah,
killed not my love of it, but, like, I've talked at length in the past, so I'm not gonna rehash, but about
yeah.
how if you don't, like, win the panel lotteries, how it just dampens your
Exactly,
experience, and you just pay
exactly,
so much money to walk around the convention center, and
exactly.
it's yeah, it's just that
Yeah,
my experience in 2022, like,
mhm,
it made me I was like a broke college kid or whatever, and I was like I was doing Zo I was doing I was in a Zoom class in line for the Mandalorian panel. Like, what the heck,
yeah,
guys? No, but the fact that someone had to gift me the ticket to that panel because otherwise I won no panel lotteries. I paid like thousands of dollars or whatever to come all the way to California, and then
yeah,
like I was literally just walking around the convention center because all my friends were at the panels, and
yeah,
it's like at the lottery panels, and then like
yeah,
yeah, so I have my own issues with Repop and their system, and I mean the fact that they allowed like scalpers to just get all the tickets because they allowed 20 tickets a person, which I think is an argument on its own,
I
but whatever.
agree.
But like, um, it's just that's a Repop issue, I think, and
Yeah,
whatever. But like, I miss Celebration still as someone who's been like, despite the negative
mhm,
experience I had with the panel lotteries, like that's part of the community that I miss.
yeah,
Like that community experience with other fans, like getting to when I did get to go to panels, because I was lucky enough that I won lottery for Rise of Skywalker panel, and I got gifted that lottery for the Mandalorian panel. Being in those arenas with those fans and that, like, I still tell people to this day, like the cheering after that Palpatine reveal in the Tross trailer. I have
mhm,
never felt that like that body shiver I got in that moment. I have never like I've had similar feelings, but I've never fully experienced that
mhm,
body shiver since. And like that is just like, but I
yeah,
understand why people aren't going because A, it was impossible to get tickets. B, I've had my own issues with the convention. Like I said, like I had
yeah,
my 2022 experience was not perfect.
yeah,
So yeah. Yep.
yeah. Well, I just wanna say tonight's been a lot of fun, and it's been great to have
Yeah.
you back. Um,
It was
I
great to
feel
be
like
back. Like I said, I'm so glad I was able to get rid of my shift
yeah.
because I've been wanting to be back for weeks and it finally worked out.
Enjoy
So
your
it was
ride.
devastating not
Enjoy
being
your ride.
it was devastating, but like no, literally like
Yeah,
like it was painful to be there last Sunday when you were podcasting and I was just
yeah.
I want to be podcasting. I don't want to be here. No.
So,
Yeah.
but no, it was great to have you back. And
Yeah.
I feel like we had a really good discussion about this
Oh
movie.
yeah.
We didn't get to everything like the villains and stuff like
No.
that.
No.
But and I'm sorry about that, but I just feel
No, it's okay.
like getting to the overall themes of the movie and like some of the characters is what we really needed to hit on. And I also feel like we needed to talk about fandom and expectations tonight. Like that to me was the
Right.
biggest thing. So,
Well,
um,
again, that's been a lot of my experience on this podcast. We've talked a
yeah,
lot about fan expectations and how that affects our experience. And I think it's, again, like you said, it's an important conversation for us to
mhm,
continue to have as a fandom, especially when we're seeing such a rise in the hypercritical nature of fandom.
mhm.
So, yeah.
Because I have a feeling like the negative voices that are negative about this movie are going to be out in full force next year for Starfighter, and that's going to be sad.
Yeah.
But it's an inevitability that we just need to, be like that we need to acknowledge, but not address, or you know what I mean. Like we need to acknowledge that it's there and not give it any light because they're just gonna they're gonna hate watch it just to hate watch it, and that's
Well,
the thing.
again, just so like everyone listening, just like go just to enjoy it.
Yep.
Like, don't listen to the headlines that say it's like the lowest box office. Don't listen to the fans that
Cares.
say it's just another heartbreak from Disney Star Wars. Like
Yeah.
don't don't. Just go and
Just
enjoy.
go and
Like, go
formulate
and
your own
enjoy.
opinion. Yeah.
Formulate your own opinion exactly.
Yeah.
Feel how you wanna feel about it.
Mhm.
Don't let other people ruin your joy or your criticism or whatever. Feel
Mhm.
how you wanna feel. Whether that's being critical,
Exactly.
whether that's being happy, just feel
Yeah.
how you wanna feel.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm.
Well, that's it for us. Allie,
Yeah.
thank you once again.
Of course, thank you
Yeah.
for having me on again.
Yeah,
It's
of
nice.
course. You are always welcome. That chair is
It's like my
always
first time
open.
podcasting in so
I
long, so I
know.
was like, "Yeah."
I
Yeah.
know. We talked about getting you
Mm.
back on, like, back in September, and you're like, "Well, once my schedule, like, once I figure that out." I was like, "Yeah, I get it."
This is what I'll say here and now for anyone who's still listening. Just because I like I said, I miss being active online. It is when you work here and live here, it is all consuming. You're either at the parks for fun or you're working at the parks. You are never
Mm,
just chilling. And
yep.
um, also, fun fact, there is like no cell service in my break room at my job. So when I'm on my breaks, I'm not can't even really do much on my breaks. So yeah, no,
Staring at the wall.
I just want to say
Mhm,
personally, while I have the platform, I do miss everyone so much.
mhm,
I do. It's not a choice. Like, while sure the destruction of Twitter and everything happened with Elon was another reason why I fell offline. Um, Ultimately, at the end of the day, I am just very busy, but I miss you all. I love you all, and I do want to be doing this more often.
yeah,
It's not really easy with my schedule.
I get it.
But maybe someday I'll be full time and I'll have weekends off and I'll be able to do this all the time again. So we'll see. We'll
Yeah,
see.
we will make it work. You just we'll keep talking and we'll keep bringing you on. So,
Thank you. Yeah, I'll
yeah,
try to keep getting Sundays off. It's impossible. This is the first time in like what
I get
5 months I'm able to do it, but we'll see.
All right. Well, that's it for us. Have a wonderful week, everybody, and we will see you all later. Goodbye.
Bye.